What is going on, everybody? It's the Frost, and we are for NXT review for the September 25th, 2019 episode. This is, of course, you're seeing this on Thursday as we get ready and ramped up for next week, which everything changes. The Raw season premiere, NXT going to 2 hours full-time on the USA Network, AEW making its premiere, and, of course, SmackDown's premiere on Fox. And oh boy, as we know, coming up at the end of this month, the next month coming up, that Impact is going to be taking SmackDown's old Tuesday night slot at 8 p.m. So realistically, if you're somebody who is like a wrestling junkie, you're going to have wrestling for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. That's ridiculous. Anyway, Dominik Dijakovic versus Keith Lee happened tonight. It was in the first hour. It opened the show. Matt Riddle versus Killian Dane. The return of Dakota Kai from 10 plus months of inactivity due to ACL surgery. And oh boy, it was great to see the captain of Team Kick back. I'm so happy to see her back. She was one of our favorites in NXT. And it's just so great to see her pick up where she left off. The second hour gave us... The biggest thing compared to last week for that second hour that we had for this week is that last week we had that awesome Lio Rush and Oney Lorcan match, Cruiserweight Championship No. 1 Contenders match. In my honest opinion, this week the second hour was not as strong as the first hour. I mean, yes, the first hour last week was strong with the Women's Fatal 4-Way and the North American Championship match. The second hour, yes, of course, had that match, and had that awesome match. Everything else was just here or there. This week just did not have as much when it came to NXT. Next week, next week you can pretty much just call this NXT TakeOver on the USA Network, because you're having 3 championship matches in one episode, which in my opinion is a little overkill. People could be like, oh, but it's the first episode going up against AEW. You need to make it as big as TakeOver as you possibly can. No, you do not. Having the Women's Championship match on that show, give us a big match like Keith Lee versus Dominik Dijakovic could have been left for next week. The Imperium show up should not have happened last week, and the match they had tonight should not have happened this week. Imperium making their NXT debut should have been next week on that episode where it's like, oh shit, Walter and the Imperium have invaded NXT. That should have been next week. These two shows should have had a big match on the first hour, then whatever, and that big match on the second hour. You have a showcase match like you did with Dakota Kai tonight, and then you would have the whole Matt Riddle and Killian Dane thing. I can already see parts of this just going bad in the end. We did see the Brit and Bruisers, I guess they're called now, wrestling what was it called? Ever Rise, which is a really weird name for the former 3.0. Rhea Ripley took on the former Lacey Lane, now Kaden Carter. I totally forgot Lacey Lane had her name changed. That's just how often we haven't seen her. Cameron Grimes in a much longer match than what he had with Sean Maluta last week. He faced Mauro Mendoza. And as well as Kushida and 2 mystery partners versus Imperium. So, back-to-back weeks on live and back-to-back good shows. Last week was a much better show in my opinion, especially with that awesome Oney Lorcan Lio Rush match. This week's first hour I think was better than last week's. For the simple fact is you had that street fight, you had the colossal Dominik Dijakovic versus Keith Lee match, which I think they rushed a little bit too soon. We just saw that match last month during the final set of tapings before they went live. Since that match happened this week, I would say if they're going to have a third match, leave it for War Games. That's a match, because the War Games match is going to be, quite honestly, the final takeover for this year is going to be NXT TakeOver War Games in November. That match is what sells that takeover. You could have like Keith Lee versus Kona Reeves on the undercard. You could have like Bianca Belair versus Casey Catanzaro on the undercard. It would not fucking matter. Everybody watches for the War Games match. Now I know they're going to have some great matches, but I'm wondering still, like, in my opinion, the whole reason that Imperium is here is I have a feeling that it's going to be Imperium versus Kushida and possibly the Street Profits, because the Street Profits did, and Matt Riddle, because those two got into the Street Profits brawled with Imperium as Imperium was beating up on Matt Riddle. I could be wrong, but I think for sure if they're going to do a War Games, NXT versus NXT UK, it's going to be Imperium for the NXT UK side. And Kushida's locked in. I think this is where this is going because of how the show ended tonight. That was your main event match. But it just feels like we're going to have Kushida and 3 guys versus Imperium inside War Games, which I think would be absolutely fantastic. I don't think we need to see the Undisputed Era in the War Games match this year. They are all 4 champions right now. They have the 3 men's titles. So I don't see them being put in War Games because you want to have at least 1 or 2 of those titles on the line to counteract the War Games match. I could be wrong. But anyway, again, NXT goes off the air early again. Now, of course, with the fact that there's no commercial, there's barely any, if any at all, commercial breaks on the WWE Network, you didn't have the ability to stretch out the show and get it to 2 hours. But if Triple H is trying to plan to end his show 10, 15 minutes early, I don't think USA Network's going to cut like that. They should be like this week and last week were trial runs to get this show and work all the kinks. So when you go up against AEW, because NXT has been at 1 hour since 2012, before they got to the WWE Network, you don't want those kinks to be there or very little when we get to next week. So that kink is still there. I don't know. Maybe it's because there's no commercials after the first hour, which, yeah. Commercial breaks for an NXT show is something you still got to get used to because NXT, of course, for 5 years, 5.5 years. I can't believe it's been that long since it's been on the network. For 5.5 years, NXT has been with very, very, very limited commercials. Speaking of limited commercials, next week's episode, conveniently enough, both hours, all 2 hours from start to finish, limited commercials. That hopefully means when the Undisputed Era taking on the Street Profits, no commercial breaks. Candice LeRae takes on Shayna Baszler, no commercial breaks during those matches. Adam Cole takes on his opponent, which we'll get into in a minute, no commercial breaks. You put the commercial breaks after, in between matches. If you're doing limited commercials, neither one of these 3 matches, which are huge title matches with the possibility of 3 title changes, which I don't think any title is changing next week, by the way, I would say that the matches need to go on. No commercials during the matches. When that match is over, you have the celebration, and then you go to commercial break. If you say, coming up next is going to be this person and this person, then you go to commercial break. You have about, instead of a 2-minute or 3-minute commercial break, have a 5-minute commercial break. So when you come back, the next match you have, if it's a 10-15-minute match, you don't have commercials during it. If they want to do limited commercial breaks for NXT from here on out, please do that, because that is what NXT is about. You get like a Dominic Dijakovic versus Keith Lee, which I'm sure everyone in Full Sail absolutely fucking loved this match. That match was awesome for what we got to see on TV. The fact that it had commercial breaks in between it had 1 commercial break. It did kind of pull from the match, because it's one of those things that it does irk me a lot when you see a hot match, you see an awesome match like Keith Lee versus Dominic Dijakovic. You're getting into it, you see awesome shit going. And on the main roster, here's the problem with the main roster compared to NXT. On the main roster, they could be having this hot fire match, it's going great. They go to commercial break, they come back from commercial break, somebody's in a rest hold, and the match just dies. NXT, this went to commercial break, it came back, and the momentum picked right back up where it left off when it went to commercial break. Again, actually, how the show started off tonight, we get a look back of what happened last week. We hear the whole Triple H. We see an alternate camera angle for where Triple H was standing when he did the We Are NXT segment bit at the beginning of the show last week. They actually show off to the side a little bit so you can see how he was positioned and everything. And then it's going through all this, and we see people walking up these steps, and it's the Undisputed Era as they come to this balcony above where the announcers are, where the commentators are, and all four men hold up their championships, saying, "This is," pretty much without saying, "This is our era." So that led us to Keith Lee versus Dominik Dijakovic. Keith Lee was out first, then came Dominik Dijakovic. This match was awesome. They did show a tail of the tape for the two men. Fans chanted for Dominik Dijakovic as they face off in the middle. This series right now is at before this match happened was 1 for Dominik Dijakovic, 0 and 1 due to the double countout. Of course, Keith Lee during this match is 0, 1 and 1. They mentioned how it's 1 and 1 and it's 1 and 1 Dominik Dijakovic is 1 and 0. They didn't mention the tie, but I'm going to mention the tie because that's how you do this. It's 1, 0, 1 at the beginning of this for Dijakovic, 0, 1, 1 for Keith Lee. There is so much good in this match. I can't even justify it. Nobody can justify it. And it looked like Keith Lee was going to go for a top rope, Spanish fly. Dominik Dijakovic gets up and stops that and ends up hitting an avalanche Canadian destroyer. That was not the end of the match. That was some crazy shit. These just two, what they can do against each other, that, a guy I'm just gonna have to say this, though. These guys do what Samoa Joe was doing back in 2005. Samoa Joe, these guys, I'm just gonna say whether they want to admit it or not, these two owe a big, huge, a big, huge, what do you call it? Not a thank you, but, gratitude to Samoa Joe, because Samoa Joe was doing stuff like this back in 2005 in Impact Wrestling TNA, where he was doing big moves like this, doing stuff that cruiserweights should only be doing, X Division champion, doing just wowing crowds. But these guys just wow. I can't even a corkscrew. Keith Lee does a corkscrew over the top rope to the outside. It's a corkscrew plancha, I think is what it's called, to Dominik Dijakovic. Somebody that size should not be doing a corkscrew plancha to the outside. It is just holy shit material. Let's see here. The Super Canadian Destroyer was a 2 count, which was a holy shit. I still can't believe he kicked out from that. Which, in my opinion, I'm glad they didn't go with the Spanish Fly spot from the last match, because if you remember, that Spanish Fly didn't go as well as it should have, because Keith Lee ended up bouncing his head right off the mat and it looked absolutely nasty. That was fucking crazy. Cannot believe that wasn't the end. Dijakovic gets back up, hits a moonsault for another close to. Lee sits right up as if he is the Undertaker. Shocks Dijakovic, shocks Mauro Ranallo. He's going fucking bananas. Lee powers up with Dijakovic as he has him in the fireman's carry. Nails the Supernova for the 1, 2, 3, which is his fireman's carry jackhammer combination. Keith Lee stands tall as the music hits. We go to replay, and Dijakovic watches from down in the corner as Lee plays through the crowd. Holy shit. I want to see this match again, but I don't want to see it again until NXT TakeOver War Games. This is going to be a match that you build to War Games. You could have these guys in video footage from the Performance Center, just jawing and bitching and attacking each other, fighting each other, and then we get some kind of last man standing match between these two at NXT TakeOver War Games. This needs to be the match. This final showdown between these two has to happen at TakeOver War Games. I don't want to see this match again until then. We see the face-off between Candice LeRae and the NXT Women's Champion Shayna Baszler after LeRae won the 4-4-way, which was an awesome match, of course, last week. Nigel goes over the Taylor tape for the 2, which will take place on Wednesday next week. Mauro now says the show will have limited commercial interruptions. I'm thinking that is awesome because I'm watching AEW live. I'll watch this when it gets on the WWE Network or some other way. So it's if you're going to watch this later on the next day and watch it at that time, that's awesome because instead of having only an hour and 33 minutes or an hour and 40 minutes, you're going to have an hour and you almost have about an hour and probably 50 minutes of content, which is awesome. They showed us last week's street fight between Matt Riddle and Killian Dane, which ended in chaos, which I did not like the way NXT ended last week. We see Riddle backstage warming up for the night's match, which will see the winner on a future title shot for NXT champion Adam Cole. We go to commercial, we come back, and it's Dakota Kai versus Tainara. My word, Dakota Kai coming out. You could just see the emotion in this woman's face. You could just see the emotion in her body language. She was so relieved to be back in this ring. She has been out since, I believe, December or January of this year with the torn ACL. And just, she couldn't, I don't know if she cried or she was trying to prevent herself from crying, but you could just see that this woman missed what she was doing, what she loved to do. And that just shows when somebody has that kind of emotion returning from an injury, a very bad injury that could be a career ender if it goes wrong in surgery or whatnot. But to be able to come back and do what she does best and does what she loves, and you can see that she loves being a professional wrestler and loves being in NXT. The crowd with the heroes welcoming her back. Just everything tonight for Dakota Kai was absolutely awesome. She was decked out in all white. She looked fucking fantastic, phenomenal. I'm so glad to see her back. I would love to see her and Tegan Nox. That's Team Kick right there. Tegan Nox and Tegan Nox and Dakota Kai team up together and take the women's tag team titles off of Nikki Cross and Alexa Bliss and hold those titles forever. She faced, of course, against Tainara. Tainara, I don't know if she's supposed to be a heel or a babyface because she comes out hopping on one knee, pumping her fist in the air, doing the Eddie Guerrero type shoulder shakes and everything. And she that's playing up as a babyface, and then she comes down and she gives someone a dirty look as she walks by. So I don't know if she's supposed to be a heel or a babyface. They need to kind of sort that out. Have her cut a promo in a heel or a babyface fashion. Tainara is one of those women that it's I don't know what she's supposed to be, who she's supposed to be, how she's supposed to be. Okay, she wears a karate jacket and a karate black belt. Okay, why doesn't she act like one? Why doesn't she act like a black belt? She even takes the robe off, throws it on, and then takes the belt off when she gets into the ring and hangs it up. And then just gives it a kiss, holds it up again, and has that serious look on her face. And then she's like a paint-by-numbers wrestler in the ring. And it's just, I don't know what they're doing with Tainara. But, of course, she wasn't winning this match. This was the return of Dakota Kai. She has a new finisher. She hits the GTK, the go-to kick, which is a GTS. But instead of hitting with the knee, she kicks them in the face. So she does the crescent haluva kick. Really, she hit that one? Yeah. The running haluva kick, which she starts in one corner, and runs three quarters away around the ring, and kicks them in the face. But scoops her up, hits the GTK, which I've never seen her do before, so obviously this is something new, and picks up the win over Tainara. There was nothing else really special about this match, so just going to leave it at that. Kathy Kelly up on the podium confirms Imperium versus Kushida and two partners of his choosing later on in hour 2. Which is kind of funny because Kathy Kelly was talking about this, and before she signed off and got back to whatever, she botched and was about ready to say on the NXT network instead of WWE network. She caught herself halfway through saying NXT. I thought that was kind of funny. Matt Riddle versus Killian Dane. Much better than what they had last week, even before we had the run-ins, the big, huge brawl and everything. I don't know what it is, but Matt Riddle and Killian Dane just don't seem to click as much as you want them to. I don't know what it is. I don't know if the chemistry is just not there. Maybe it's just their chemistry pool is not where it needs to be to connect and click and be awesome and everything. It's just this did not. It was a good match. It was brutal. They had Killian Dane put him through a breakable wall, which definitely looked like a normal hard wall, but as soon as he put him through it, you could tell it was paper. So, way to go, WWE. You got to make that look more realistic. Matt Riddle, of course, ends up winning this match. These guys beat the hell out of each other. They go all around full sail as much as they can. Chair shots. Like, Matt Riddle hits, towards the end of the match, lays a chair on Killian Dane, who's down. He takes a kendo stick and whacks it, not lightly. You know how you usually see somebody hit a kendo stick and whack them lightly? He cocked that thing back and just whacked Killian Dane square on that chair. Holy shit. Vader bomb by Killian Dane before that, and he tries to go for another one. Doesn't get the win there. Fujiwara armbar out of nowhere. Riddle extends the arm, making Dane tap out. That was that. After the match, Riddle stands tall and his music hits. Marinello confirms Riddle versus Cole in a title match on the line for next Wednesday. Cole comes walking down. No music, no nothing. Just walks down there. Apparently must have had one of those boom mics, or whatever those mics are called, that go on your shirt or something, because you could hear him plain as day. He pulls... he says, this is my property. This belongs to me. You will never be NXT champion. You're not even in my league. And he's pointing with one hand. He switches his hand over, points at Matt Riddle again. Matt grabs the arm, puts him in the Fujiwara armbar, and Cole is just tapping out. The Undisputed Era hit the ring to make the save, but Riddle retreats. Riddle backs up the ramp as his music starts back up, as the Undisputed Era tends to Cole, and the first hour ended on the USA Network. We get to the second hour, and it opens live on WWE Network as Undisputed Era continues to check on Adam Cole, who's really selling his arm being really screwed up. He's breathing. He's like, ooh, he like has that like look of, oh shit, this actually fucking hurts. I'm fucked over. I could honestly see them playing up to this because he went out there and did that, and maybe Adam Cole comes out with his arm in a sling next week, and they delay this match another week. Because quite honestly, we don't need 3 championship matches next week. I know they're going up against AEW the first time, but if you blow your load next week and give us 3 big championship matches, what are you going to do the week after that? And the week after that? And the week after that? And the week after that? Why would you blow your entire load next week and give us 3 huge championship matches instead of having, I don't know, Shayna Baszler versus Candice LeRae be the main event next week? The week after that, the Street Profits versus the Undisputed Era's Kyle O'Reilly and Bobby Fish. The week after that, you could have Matt Riddle versus Adam Cole. There's no reason to have these 3 championship matches next week. You have the roster to be able to give us a solid undercard before you give us the Women's Championship match that you already advertised for next week. Spread it out. You don't have to just give it to 1 week. I hate to do this. I don't want to compare this to anything, NXT to anything. This feels like WCW. This move to have all this happen on one show feels like WCW. WCW, when Monday Night War they were getting high up into that Monday Night War, they prioritized Nitro over building for pay-per-view. Doing this on this episode means, hey, and we know TakeOver is going to be in November. It's going to be a month or so away. But let's make that TakeOver irrelevant because nobody watches outside of anything more than the War Games match. Let's have a mini TakeOver this week. Not fucking necessary. We don't need a mini TakeOver next week. I hope Adam Cole comes out, Sling, has the doctor's note and says, listen, I can't wrestle this week because you tried to whip my arm out before we had our match. So I have to take off like 3 weeks and we'll have our match after that. And then boom, there you go. You have Adam Cole with, of course, a bogus doctor slip. And Regal's like, well, then fine, whatever. In 3 weeks' time or at NXT TakeOver War Games, you will have Matt Riddle versus Adam Cole. And that's how you build to that. We don't need a mini takeover next week. If anybody thinks that having a mini takeover next week is a good thing, you're out of your goddamn mind. Again, NXT has enough talent to go out there and give us a solid undercard before we get to Shayna Baszler versus Candice LeRae. The only title match you need next week. The Street Profits versus the Undisputed Era. If you really want to counter program AEW, you have that match the week they're crowning their first ever tag team champions. That's when that match should fucking happen. Or if you want to also have Adam Cole versus Matt Riddle on one of these shows, you have that 3 weeks. You have that in the 3rd week of AEW because that's when the World Championship will be on the line as well as the Women's Championship. Spread it out. Because right now it's wondering, you're going to have yourself a mini takeover show next week. How do you go and improve on that? You can't. That is the real simple thing to that. You can't. There is nothing they're going to be able to do in week 4 that you top what you did in week 3. What you should be doing is building towards War Games. And yes, like I said, it feels like Imperium is going to be in the War Games match against probably Kushida and 3 other guys. But there's other things you need to build to get. We have, I don't know, Rhea Ripley versus Shayna Baszler. Honestly, I don't see Candice LeRae winning next week. The Undisputed Era are not going to lose the tag team titles, and Adam Cole's not losing the NXT Championship. How do you build from there? We'll have to wait and see, but them just blowing the load next week is honestly a bad idea. Rhea Ripley took on Kaden Carter. This, of course, would be Lacey Lane. I honestly, like, when it came out with Kaden Carter, I'm like, who the hell is Kaden Carter? And then it was Lacey Lane came out, and I'm like, oh, okay, I totally forgot this woman changed her name, or had her name changed. Kaden Carter comes out with an immediate drop kick. They tangle up. Ripley fires back for a big drop kick after Kaden gets a little bit of offense on, or close to. Kaden got a little bit of offense on Rhea Ripley here and there, but in the end, Rhea Ripley is like, nope, I'm not letting this go on anymore. Picks her up, and after she slams her to the mat, picks her up, pump handle, riptide for the 1-2-3. Rhea Ripley was your winner. Nothing else you can say about that. Ripley stand tall. Kaden Carter was in the corner looking like she was like, I don't know what I got myself into, but I just got my ass kicked. Danny Burch and Oni Lorcan, the Brit and Bruisers, I guess is their name now. That's what Mauro Ranallo is calling them now. Versus Matt Martell and Chase Parker, the team now known as Ever Rise. They were the former 3.0. I don't know. I said it on Twitter. I'm like, they have a tag team name at least. It's not a good name, but at least they have a tag team name. They won't even give, like, you have Mauro Ranallo, the only one giving these guys somewhat of a name. The Brit and Brawlers, now the Brit and Bruisers. Give them a tag team name. Yes, I know one's on 2K, NXT UK most of the time, and the other one's on 205 Live. Danny Burch just made his 205 Live debut yesterday, or on Tuesday. So, get these guys a tag team name. Don't have them Danny Burch and Oni Lorcan. I hate when you have two guys who have been teaming for over a year, maybe 2 years by now, and you haven't given them a tag team name. I mean, what, do they have to win the NXT tag team titles and get a Lucha Dragons type treatment where they win the tag team titles and then you give them a name? Come on, give them a name. The Brit and Bruisers or Brit and Brawlers, I don't care. Either one will work for me. Anyway, this one was competitive. The Ever Rising did get got a lot of work in on Danny Burch and Oni Lorcan. They do have a tag team name. They do have matching gear. So, and they are a former tag team 3.0. I don't know where they came from, but they have music. They come out. They look good together. Maybe they're on the come up to be a team that actually gets used in the tag team division as we get going. But in the end, you get like Oni Lorcan. My word. Towards the end of this match, you had a kip up from Danny Burch. They both get hyped, and like Danny Burch looks hyped, but Oni Lorcan just has this. He just gets that vicious look on his face, like he's like, if he wasn't in professional wrestling, he would probably rip somebody's head off. He is like the most intense guy for a guy his size. He is overly intense. Double team, impaling DDT, 1, 2, 3, and Danny Burch and Oni Lorcan win the match. They show us Chelsea Green and Deonna Purrazzo in the crowd. I hope this is a good sign that both of these women are going to be used soon. Deonna Purrazzo hasn't been seen on NXT television in, I don't know, 7, 8, 9, 10 months. This was actually Chelsea Green's debut on NXT as a full-fledged member of the NXT roster. Of course, she did wrestle a match, what was it, 3, 4, 5 months ago, in which she was on the dark match side of it, and she ended up breaking her wrist and winning the match and finishing the match by winning it. So that was great to see them. I hope we get to see more of these two women. Deonna Purrazzo, I hear so many good things about. I've hardly got to see her work outside the Mae Young Classic and maybe one tag team match late last year. So let's see what happens. It looks like they seem to be teasing a team as they are hanging around each other. Hopefully they'll be better than Born and Bougie or whatever the fuck that terrible name is for Aaliyah and Vanessa Bourne, because those two need to get the hell out of the wrestling ring. Cameron Grimes versus Raul Mendoza. We see a squash, like last week's squash win over Sean Maluda. Out comes Raul Mendoza. Grimes tries to get the double knee, the double stomp right away, but Mendoza gets out of the way and wags his finger like the Kimber Mutombo and like, not right now. Definitely some good work for these guys. I keep saying it, and I'll say it again. Raul Mendoza should have been brought up to 205 Live a long time ago. This guy is absolutely good at what he does. I wish they would do a little bit more with him. Get this guy. He has been a jobber to the stars for far too long. I think when he needs to either be part of 205 Live, part of the Cruiserweight division, whatever they're doing with 205 Live. But this guy should be doing something better than what he's doing. Top rope, big Frankensteiner, but Grimes kicks out at 2. Grimes fights Mendoza off. They tangle again, and Grimes ends up nailing the leaping stomp for the 1, 2, 3 as the fans start to boo. Grimes is your winner. I'm hoping this is the last we see of Cameron Grimes for now. There was no reason to have that 2-minute squash match we had last week. And it's not 2 minute, but like 20-second squash we had last week. This match was good. I'm glad to see that they have some investment in Cameron Grimes, but we got to see other people as well. I don't think we need to see Cameron Grimes again for a while. Kushida and two partners of his choosing versus Imperium. Now, I was thinking immediately, what if Tommaso Ciampa's injury was a work? Well, what if him saying he's not cleared was a work? Because he did come out, I believe, a week and a half ago and told people that he wasn't cleared by his doctor. His doctor laughed that off. What if that was all a work? Maybe, what if it would be DIY making their return to help Kushida? I know, it was just something for me to think about, but no, it is Tyler Breeze and Breezango teaming with Kushida. This was a fun match. Now, if this was on USA Network, I'm telling you right now, Kushida would have probably had 2 better partners than Breezango, who I'm not saying they're a bad tag team. It's just, when you're having this 2 partners of his choosing thing, it's like, I don't know what it is, but it feels like Breezango is a major letdown when it comes to who's his tag team partners. Yeah, it's funny because Nigel McGuinness is like, you gotta be kidding me, this is a disgrace. Like, just shitting all over these guys, just letting them have it. And like Beth Phoenix is even like, you have the right to remain silent to Nigel McGuinness. Nigel McGuinness was having none of this when it came to Breezango. Absolutely some of the funniest shit I think I've heard from Nigel McGuinness. But this match ends up going. This was like, I'm watching this and we're at 9:40. We're at 9:38, like 9:39. And I'm like, we're going to go 20-some minutes for this match? No, because we ended at 9:48. The show went off the air at 9:48. When it comes to big moments in the match, there really wasn't anything big except for, I know that they had Tyler Breeze in the trio row, not in the corner, but hanging from the top rope. So, Marcel, I think it was Marcel Barthel and Fabian Eichner came running, one from the outside, one from the inside, and they double whammied him, knocking him completely silly. But there wasn't really anything big from this match. It was a good match. The Imperium, I will say this, when they were doing their entrance and you just see them like standing there and they just look up, you just see, I just see Alexander Wolf trying his hardest not to smile. Because this guy looks like he is in the best, he's like in the happiest place he has been in a long time. Because you got to think, Sanity came up last year during post WrestleMania weekend. They were brought up, him, Eric Young, and Killian Dane. They had 1, maybe 2 matches together on SmackDown. They did nothing with them. They sat at home, they were on the house show circuit, whatever else. That is all they did. And I'm pretty sure that probably just took a toll on Alexander Wolf. He was just he probably loved doing the Sanity gimmick because it fit him so fucking well. And to be casted aside because Vince McMahon saw nothing good in Sanity, and being able to go to NXT UK and join up into a new faction with Imperium, it's just, you can just see the happiness coming off of a guy like Alexander Wolf, who, yes, he's been a part of Imperium for about a few months now, but just seeing these guys do that in the middle of the ring, the pose before the match starts, and Marcel Barthel and Fabian Eichner have been in NXT and NXT UK since they've been up. They haven't been to the main roster. They don't know what the main roster is like, and it just pans over to him, and he's not smiling, but you could just see that this guy wants to smile because he loves what he's doing in NXT and NXT UK. And Vince McMahon tried to take that away from him, and now he has that back, being in NXT again, just like Killian Dane was earlier. It's just, he looks so happy, and I'm happy to see a guy like Alexander Wolf doing what he loves to do best. I don't want to see people who have talent, who are good at what they do, being cast to the side, doing nothing because the main roster doesn't see anything good about them. Kushida ends up rolling up in, I think it was an Okada roll with a bridge onto Barthel. 1, 2, 3, Kushida and Breezango win. After the match, Kushida runs up to the stage as his music hits. He's just standing up there, lower third, to think the show was over, until all you see is him turn around and a big boot by Walter. Kushida is laid out. Big boot, fans chant Walter's name. Wolf, Eichner, and Barthel join Walter on the stage now as he stares down at Kushida. Imperium stares tall over Kushida as the music starts up, and NXT goes off the air. Now, again, good episode. NXT has not had a bad episode yet, but again, like I said before, they can't just get off the air at 9:48, 9:50, with 10 minutes to go. I don't think USA Network will be really happy about that if we paid for 2 hours of content, or, an hour and 45 minutes, depending on commercials, but we paid you for, we got this show to be from 8 to 10 o'clock, and you're cutting us off at 10 minutes? That's not going to work. However, there's things that it's like, I just see little things here and there that NXT is starting to become less of what it was before. Yes, we all knew there was going to be a difference when NXT went to USA and live. If it was live and stayed live on the network, nothing would change from NXT. If it went to 2 hours live on the network, nothing would change from NXT, simply because there would be the same formula, just stretched across 2 hours. Of course, you have to apply this formula now that they've been using for 7 years, or been perfecting for 7 years, and you have to worry about run times. You have to worry about getting these matches to go through commercial breaks. When's a good stopping time? When's a good starting? Where you want these guys to be going when they come back? How much time you want to give each match? Like Dominik Dijakovic and Keith Lee went about 12 minutes. It's out the commercial breaks. What if they would have had that? It was probably 50. They actually probably went about 20 minutes, but I was watching the condensed version here in a minute ago. But what if that match they wanted to go a little bit longer? Just like the Undisputed Era, the Kushida and Breezango vs. Imperium match. That match went about 15 minutes. That match is going to have to go a little bit longer next time if they wanted to do that. But getting away from all this 2 hour stuff, I feel like Imperium is here is here to be in War Games. That's the only reason they're here. They're going to start with Kushida. I don't think Breezango is going to be in this War Games match. Johnny Gargano, I have a feeling, is going to be in War Games for the simple fact is there's no other reason why he would be on TakeOver. And I don't see Johnny Gargano missing a TakeOver because WWE, because they don't want to book him. I could see Kushida, Matt Riddle, who got attacked by Imperium, Johnny Gargano, and if he's healthy, Tommaso Ciampa. If he's healthy, if he's able to. But would you want to have Tommaso Ciampa coming back from an injury, like his neck, being in War Games? I don't know. Who's going to be winning next week's matches when it comes to the 3 championship matches? Shayna Baszler's not losing her title. It makes absolutely no sense to give it to Candice LeRae right now. The fact that it's yes, Candice LeRae winning the NXT Women's Championship should have happened a while ago if they were using her. Candice LeRae, outside of having a match with Io Shirai where she got beat, hasn't done anything. She walks into William Regal's office, pitches a fit with the fact that Io Shirai is getting an opportunity, and she wants to go beat up on Io Shirai. She wins that match, and all of a sudden people expect her to win? No. You brought Rhea Ripley over to NXT UK. She had her stare down, and she had a match that ended in a DQ with Shayna Baszler. That is Shayna Baszler's next primary target, next primary opponent, and that's the woman who's going to probably take the title off of Shayna Baszler. Io Shirai, I have a feeling there's going to be a ref bump in that match next week. There's going to be a ref bump with Io Shirai coming out, costing Candice LeRae the championship, and that's going to probably lead to a rematch between these two at NXT TakeOver War Games, because I have a feeling not all the titles are going to be on the line at War Games. They haven't been the last 2 years, if I'm correct. No, because the Tag Team Champions have been in the War Games match both years, and then, of course, the North American Champion was in the War Games match last year as well. So, I don't see everything being put on the line, because, again, most people just won't care about the War Games match, and everything underneath is going to be good, but it doesn't have to be everything big. So, Candice LeRae versus Io Shirai 2 is going to happen in NXT TakeOver War Games, because Candice LeRae is going to get screwed out of her championship opportunity because of Io Shirai. Tag Team Championship is self-explanatory. You're not going to take them right. They just won the titles back in August. They just won the tag team titles in the middle of August. I know it was taped at the beginning of August, and it showed, I think, at the beginning of September or at the end of August. You just gave the titles back to the Undisputed Era. You're not going to take them back off of them just to give them to the Street Profits. Matt Riddle and Adam Cole, I don't think there's going to be a conclusive finish on next week. I think it's going to come down, and Matt Riddle and Adam Cole are going to be building towards a rematch at TakeOver War Games. So, coming into War Games, as we need to start building to, fuck next week. That's going to be a big show as it is, even though it doesn't need to be. We need to start worrying about War Games and predicting for War Games. Who's going to be winning? What's going to be in the match? My predictions for matches for War Games is that Roderick Strong is probably going to face the Velveteen Dream again, and possibly Pete Dunne. Maybe we get a rematch of that triple threat match, only with Roderick Strong being the champion. Matt Riddle and Adam Cole again, even because I don't think we're going to have a conclusive finish. The tag team titles I don't think are going to be on the line. The Shayna Baszler versus Rhea Ripley match is set. Is my opinion is probably what's set. Because Rhea Ripley Candice LeRae and Io Shirai are going to have another brawl, and then of course the War Games match with Imperium versus Kushida, Matt Riddle, I would say Keith Lee just because, and Johnny Gargano. That is my predictions for War Games. That is what we need to be worrying about. I'm hoping after next week's show, because next week's show is pretty much just going to be a wash on everything. But the simple fact is, it's 3 championship matches and whatever the hell else they want to do. After that, after next week, they need to start building towards War Games, because War Games will be here before you know it. But that is your NXT review. Hit that subscribe button, comment down below, like or dislike this video. Find me on Twitter at The France Club. Find me on twitch.tv/The France Club. And I'll see you guys Sunday for Unscripted. Get ready, because next week is going to be a big one. Until then, my name is The France, and I'll see you guys later.